Busy time for Notre Dame football recruiting, including, wow, Mike, a lot of visits right now for this football program. In fact, we have so many, we're going to break it down into days of the week. That's how good things are going right now for the Irish. So let's start with Wednesday visitors for Marcus Freeman and the Fighting Irish.
Yeah, Darren, I could take up your entire show plus another hour just talking about this week's visitors, like that, and even into the rest of the month. It's a very busy time for the Fighting Irish coaching staff. You had a quick break for Easter weekend, but everyone returns to the building Tuesday, some big time prospects. Even one on campus right now, Tampa Carrollwood Day safety DJ Williams, a big time prospect who Notre Dame loves. He got to campus Tuesday. There's one that was not on the docket to cover, but someone who is certainly worth mentioning. I wanted to kick it off, Darren, talking about Brady Hart. It seems like every week we're talking about him. He's from Cocoa, Florida, 6'5", 185 pounds, a 4-star prospect per the industry ranking at On3. Nation's number 110 overall prospect, number 9 quarterback. I logged a prediction for him to end up at Notre Dame. I think I made that pick a couple weeks ago. And I talked about this a little bit, Darren. Noah Grubbs visited a couple weeks ago. He's someone who actually has the same quarterback trainer as Brady Hart. So these guys know each other very well. They're both from Central Florida. The vibe has been with both of these guys, it's going to be the first one to jump in the boat between Hart and Grubbs. Grubbs visited. He's uncommitted, still taking more trips. And then you got Brady Hart. Florida legacy. Both of his parents went to the gate, attended the school of the Gators, and got that offer in the past couple of weeks. So it'll be interesting to see how much of a look he gives the in-state Gators. But I think Notre Dame's on top for Brady Hart right now. Both of these guys looking to decide over the summer. But I still like my pick for Hart here. Notre Dame really can't go wrong with either Hart or Grubb. So that's kind of the quarterback recruiting rundown. There's other names on the board, of course. Troy Hun was on campus last week. He's from Southern California. He's a name to know. There's others, but I've really been reporting the most on Hart and Grubbs right now. This is Hart's first visit to Notre Dame, Darren. So that's a big deal. He's someone I predicted to land with the Irish without him getting to South Bend. That just goes to show how strong of a relationship he's built with the coaching staff, Marcus Freeman, Gino Guidugli, Chad Bowden, and Mike Denbrock, everyone there. So again, huge visit on tap for the Fighting Irish here. I like where Notre Dame stands. I think they eventually land his commitment. It could certainly be Grubbs, but this is the type of visit on Wednesday that if all goes well, I think Notre Dame's the clear number one. But, if it exceeds expectations, I wouldn't rule out him popping in favor of the Irish, sometime in the next week to month. We got more as well. I just been a while talking about him. But JaDon Blair, it's like a Wednesday to Saturday visit, Darren. 6'4", 180-pound, 4-star safety, number 12, a player his position. So Hart, we're talking about the 2026 class. So he's a high school sophomore going his junior year. We got JaDon Blair here, considered a Penn State lean. Huge visit for Notre Dame ahead of his official visits. He's got 7 lined up in the summer, but locked in again, like a 3-4 day unofficial visits. Really important. He's going to get to see a lot these next few days. So JaDon Blair, one to keep an eye on. Notre Dame would be ecstatic if it's able to land Noah McHale. He's a 4-star linebacker from California, number 61 overall player, number 6 player at his position. Considered a USC lean. I think the Trojans are out in front for him as well, but Notre Dame looking to really make a move for him. They've been recruiting him for about a year and a half, so Irish can make a good push this week. Again, he's on campus Wednesday. How about this one, Darren? Thomas Davis Jr., if that name sounds familiar, his father played linebacker for the Carolina Panthers and had a really nice career. Played at Georgia collegiately, and then 2005 to 2018 with the Panthers. So Thomas Davis Jr. from Weddington High School in the Charlotte area. If that high school sounds familiar, the last player that Notre Dame recruited from this school was an infamous one. a guy named Will Shipley. Some diehard Notre Dame recruiting followers may remember that saga back in 2020. He of course ended up at Clemson, and I'm not following Will Shipley's draft stock, but I'm guessing will be a pretty high pick, as a running back. At least be
4.40 the
drafted.
other day.
I'm sorry.
He had a 4.40 the other day.
Did he really run that well? I knew he was fast, but that's really impressive. So Shipley obviously will be one of the top running backs taken off the board. But anyway, Thomas Davis Jr., 4-star prospect, top 100 overall in the 2026 class, and he's visiting with two of his teammates in the 2026 class who are twin brothers on the defensive line, both 4-star players in the rising junior cycle as well. So some very interesting visits. And that's just a few of the guys visiting Wednesday, Darren. There's a handful of others.
One question about Brady Hart and the quarterback recruitments. I know we talked a little bit about this last week.
Yeah.
Oftentimes in recruiting cycles, we start to see the quarterback dominoes fall. Someone picks somewhere, and then the next couple on the top of the quarterback board go, and you're afraid you're going to be left out. You got to make sure you get one of those big seats at the table. Have we started to see the dominoes fall at the quarterback position yet?
A little bit. There's a big time quarterback from Tennessee committed to Georgia while Grubbs was on campus at the end of March. And when I talked to Grubbs about his Notre Dame visit, he had mentioned like, hey, Curtis just committed to Georgia. I think the dominoes start falling. Like the message, I think what Curtis's commitment did was send a message out to the other quarterbacks that the dominoes are about to start falling, and Curtis very well could have committed to your school that you want to go to. So this is a big reason why. One of the big reasons why quarterbacks commit so early. I think part of it is these kids, they're wired differently. They want to start building classes, commit early on. But another part is you take one quarterback. Notre Dame could take 5 receivers. They have 4 offensive linemen committed. You can take 2 running backs, 2 tight ends, 5 DBs. It's one quarterback. Very rarely do you see 2 these days. So you want to get your spot and lock it in. So, yeah, I think if anything, like a Jared Curtis commitment kind of sent, it made the quarterbacks understand, yeah, you want to commit at this point, but do you want to end up at a UCF or Georgia Tech? Do you want to end up at your 4th or 5th choice because you waited so long? So that's definitely something interesting. Obviously, colleges are going to inform kids like, hey, like Notre Dame, for example, they tell the quarterbacks where things stand. This staff is very open. About their board at the quarterback position, especially.
So our first segment was on Wednesday visitors. Now let's move to Saturday.
Yeah, a handful of guys. We're just going to cover 2 here, both 2025 wide receiver prospects. This might be the first time we've talked about this young man, Tanu Kynes from Houston, 4-star receiver, considered a Texas lean per the On3 recruiting prediction machine. Notre Dame offered him back in December. So it's not someone who does a lot of interviews. We don't know a ton about his recruitment, but Notre Dame source tells me, yeah, Hines is a top target for the staff. I don't think they even had a strong sense of where they stood, but he's visiting campus this weekend, so they'll get a lot better idea of where they're at following this one. So, again, he's got a lot of the schools in Texas recruiting him. The offer list, Texas, you got Texas A&M, LSU, USC, Bama's in there, Oklahoma, Penn State, Miami, Florida, Michigan. List goes on and on. So a big-time prospect here. Irish would love to add him to the fold. They got 3 receivers committed. You got Jerome Bettis, of course, the son of Jerome Bettis. Of course, Jerome Bettis Jr., a.k.a. what do we call him? The minivan? Is that what we had said?
I haven't heard that.
I think the minivan is what he's being called. You got Elijah Burris, Plexico Burris' kid, and then Sean Terry, a speedy wide receiver from Southern Ohio. So you got Tanu Kynes. Derek Meadows was on campus recently. Notre Dame would obviously love to have him. So 2025 receiver recruiting. They got 3 solid guys committed. I think they're really shooting for the stars to add who they can add next. And then from Chicagoland, Talyn Taylor is visiting Notre Dame on Saturday. This will be trip number 6 for him. And all of those have taken place since the end of March of 2023. So someone who just keeps getting back to campus. Now, a prediction or a prediction went in from a pretty notable insider. We'll talk about later in our interview, Darren. Went in for him to land at Georgia. So I do think the Bulldogs are the team to beat here. He's visiting Notre Dame. It's very nice. But I do believe that he'll probably end up with the Bulldogs, but it would be a pleasant surprise if Notre Dame's able to pull off that recruiting victory.